You're listening to Brandon Sports Talk, interviewing professional athletes and Paralympians and Olympians. And now for your professional athlete interview and your host, Brandon P. Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Angel City FC NWSL soccer player, Megan Reid. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start playing professional soccer?
I mean, for me, I think it took taking a break and finding that love of the game again for myself. As like a lot of that was tied up in my relationship with my dad. And so when he passed while I was in college, I kind of stepped away. And it wasn't until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, almost like to the date, that I was like, wow, like I think I really miss soccer and would love to get back into it. So I kind of started doing all the small steps, going abroad, training with teams, going back to UVA, training with Steve for a little bit and being like, can I do this? And him being like, yeah, you can do this. And so that's kind of what like reignited my love of the game, was just kind of doing it myself and finding my own path back to it.
How is it like going to Virginia Cavaliers and playing collegiate soccer there?
I mean, it's a phenomenal experience. I think the coaching staff there kind of sets a culture of excellence. And that applies to players on the field, whether that be training, games, or that being kind of the academic side. Both are stressed so strongly, and you're expected to be able to to hold both ends of that bargain up as you are a student athlete. And I think that's what makes the culture really cool, is that they really respect and kind of drive that into you. But yeah.
How is it like getting to put on that Cavaliers soccer jersey and represent Virginia Cavaliers?
I mean, it's pretty cool. If you've ever been to Klockner, if you've ever experienced like any type of fan base, like the Virginia atmosphere is just so much fun. The field is beautiful. The stands in the stadium are just so much fun to play in. You're just like totally encompassed by a very like intimate atmosphere. We had the privilege of having the Girls Can Club, which usually brought in a ton of young girls that would come and watch us play. So you go from playing in front of like your parents or whatever, and then you transition and you get onto Klockner, and you've got all these girls that like already know who you are, screaming your name, just like super excited to watch you play. And then on top of it, you get students, parents, as like Charlottesville doesn't have many professional teams like right near it. So it's very much a college town. So you get a ton of support, which is so much fun.
What was that experience like putting on that Cavaliers orange jersey?
I mean, I think it was a mark for me of like a transitional period. Like I've taken my career to the next step, and that was really cool to experience. You're playing next to the likes of like Morgan Bryan, Emily Sonnet, Danielle Calaprico. Like those are the players that I came in, and those were like when I was a freshman, and like among my class, it was Veronica Latsko too. So I had the privilege of playing with a ton of players that are now in the NWSL. So it was just kind of unreal to think of yourself as playing on the same level of some of these other girls.
What was it like playing in the ACC and playing competitive teams like UNC, NC State, and Duke?
I mean, those are always extremely tough matchups. UNC is going to come at you with a ton of numbers, and and speed and athleticism. And Duke plays a similar style to us, where it's so possession and smart and tactics. And so every single matchup in the ACC is just this unreal battle of the minds with coaches and players, which makes the ACC one of the best, if not the best, division to play in. It's just so competitive, so much fun, and you never have a game where you can turn off because it might be easier.
Of course, during your time as a Cavalier, what were some of your accomplishments?
Well, in my final season, ended up with all ACC second team selection, as well as United Soccer Coaches All Region second team selection. Every year I ended up with some sort of academic accolade, as well as at our team banquet my senior year, was the defensive MVP, as well as they have an award that basically is for people that exhibit grit. And it was based off of one of the former players that used to play for Steve, who had lost her husband. And so it was the first year. I'm blanking on the specific name of it, but it was an honor to be the first person to have achieved that award. And then I guess other than that, I was a team captain for my final years at UVA alongside Veronica Lapsco and Brianna Westrup.
Of course, coming out of College of Virginia, what was it like getting into professional soccer and first becoming an emergency medical technician?
It's a very different way of going about life, like when you go into a different career. But luckily, the one thing that stayed true was the aspect of teamwork, and working as a collective. When you work in EMS off of fire stuff, like you have to be in unison with your team, which is something that I think is very unique to working in like the healthcare atmospheres, because you do get to continue that teamwork with you to the next basically stage of your life, which a lot of people don't necessarily get. They get into jobs where they're sitting at a desk, whereas I'm constantly working, talking, solving problems with the people next to me, as like you have someone that's sick or someone that's been in a trauma, or, trying to figure out the best way to not let this fire spread. So there's a ton of different ways to go about it. And it's just so much fun to be in a career like that definitely encompasses the likes of what you've been doing your entire life. And I think I forgot the second part of that question, if you wouldn't mind repeating that.
How was it like, obviously, balancing being a EMS and also being a professional athlete in the NWSL?
Gotcha. I don't do it like simultaneously. So like right now I'm about to go back up to Sonoma and start volunteering again. But I think I misunderstood your question. But no, I kind of talked slightly differently. But basically you can't quite balance it unless you're kind of in the off season. So for me, this is when I get to kind of dip my toe back in, use my skills, and go train that side of my life again. So I'm going to start doing that like once a week here for the next couple of months while I'm in the off season. And then, so like my Mondays through Fridays are like soccer work. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I kind of give myself an off. If I'm feeling tired, but Saturdays usually for me are for fire and EMS stuff.
What was the feeling like when you signed your first professional contract to become an Angel City FC player?
I think for me, I was surprised. Because I was kind of expecting to be brought into a meeting, and it ended up being delivered to me through like a text from our GM. And I was on my way to meet up with some family friends that were in the area. So I literally just stood in the middle of this hotel and I was like, oh my God, I made it. And for anyone that doesn't know the background of me, like I had gotten waived from San Diego like 2.5 weeks earlier. So I didn't have high expectations, or I didn't want to go into it being like, I need to be signed. I kind of went into it, well, like, let's just have fun. Let's relax. Let's not think about the contract. So when it like hit me, it was like, whoa, I did this. This is really cool. I get to call soccer a job for the first time in my life. So it was an awesome experience, and a very surprising one, but one of the best ones of my life.
How was that feeling like obviously being on the San Diego Waves for such a short time?
I mean, I think it was it was a great experience. I think, obviously it's your first introduction to the pro life. You're playing alongside, Abby Dahlkemper, Alex Morgan, and the Kristen McNabbs that have been within the league and that have made names for themselves. And you're sitting with them in passing patterns that are so simple all the way up until like playing in small sided games, where it's like these are people that you basically just watched on TV your entire life. So like that was kind of a surreal moment. So it's kind of like bottling that up and just focusing on the soccer. And then because once you did that, you're like, oh my gosh, the speed is faster, the physicality is way more. And everyone there is fighting for spots. So it's an extremely competitive environment. No one wants to get cut. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I think I got a lot better. But it was a lot of fun for me.
Of course, what was that experience like learning under Alex Morgan and learning obviously professional soccer?
I mean, I wouldn't say I learned under Alex Morgan. She was battling some I think some injuries at the time too. So she wasn't on the field very much, but she was definitely like directing, you could tell. Like when she'd be on the sidelines. But I had the privilege to play alongside Abby for a couple of days before she got injured. And like just the way that they can talk to you, and just like instruct and give you so much more insight as they've played at like a higher level, and can just kind of help give you tips and tricks to basically be better. And it's really fun to get to learn from people that have been in the league for years, and that are like, hey, like this will actually make it harder for me to do my job if you do this. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like as a defender, that makes sense. I should probably be doing that. So like I said, you learn a lot from people that have been in the game for so long.
Of course, when you got to Angel City, what was that feeling like when you saw your jersey hanging in your rafter in the locker room and you saw your name on it?
I mean, it was pretty cool. Like I think my first thought was I wanted to share it with my family and friends. So like, of course I got out my picture or my camera and I took a picture and I was like, oh my God, like this is my locker. This is my jersey. This is so cool. Like, can't believe this is happening. And it's so beautifully set out. Our kit man, Brock, he's very much an attention to detail kind of guy. So everything is just like perfectly laid out for you. And it was just something that I hadn't experienced before. But it's pretty surreal. And like I said, the first thing I wanted to do is share it with my family and friends that kind of helped me get to where I was at that point.
Of course, on game day, what was that feeling like getting to put on that pink Angel City jersey?
I mean, I definitely had some nerves. And it was learning kind of how to balance those, with like excitement. So it's definitely a mix between nervousness and excitement because there's just so much going on to the point where I've never played in front of as many fans that were at our opener. I have never worn like a jersey for a professional team. I am now playing on a professional team, like starting, and it was just so much coming at me at once. And so it was a good, overwhelming feeling that like, I think excitement kind of took charge of that ship. And I mean, we played well that first game and, I was just so happy to be able to put it on, to have the opportunity.
What are some of your game day traditions and routines that you do before the game?
For me, like I like to wear fun socks. So that's the first thing. I will I'll have the same meal, usually every single time, like get some pancakes, eggs, whatever. And then kind of transition into just like throw on my fun socks, Every game has a different pair. And obviously get to the stadium when we get there, kind of put everything down. And I like to go just walk the field, at least part of it, sit, look, just get used to my environment. And then I go through kind of like a mobility, stretching, activation routine before our coaches come in, and then we hit the field.
Of course, what is your one workout song that you listen to right before the game?
I would say my most frequented song for this season was Industry Baby. Blanking on the name of the artist, but that was for sure one that came up before every game.
What is it like, obviously, getting to travel to different teams and get to play them, like the Red Stars, the Courage, the Pride, and the Thorn?
I mean, it was really cool to be able to experience different atmospheres, to experience different towns, and obviously to play, people of such high caliber within each team. Each team has different threats that you have to worry about, that you have to educate yourself on in order to kind of help handle them. And so, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was an educational experience. Just like I said, you have to learn so much about teams and how they play, and then how you have to play against them. And then, it's always fun getting to explore new places with people that are, you make a lot of friends on the team, so you get to go do fun stuff that are in those towns. So there's just so much that kind of encompasses those trips that make them pretty special.
How's that like, obviously, going to North Carolina Courage and having where your family and friends can go to that game as that's the closest team to them?
Actually, my family and friends are in Northern California, so they actually got to come down to a lot of the LA games, which is a lot of fun. I do have some like extended family that's in North Carolina, a lot of friends that are in North Carolina. So both of those games actually held quite a few people that were able to come. But it's an experience that's very special to be able to share with them. In general, I think seeing as those are the people that kind of help you get to where you're going, right? Like it's really cool to share that with as many people as possible that have been in your corner and that have supported you through your journey to get to the NWSL.
Of course, what has it been like, obviously, playing against some of those legends like Alex Morgan, Casey Murphy?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, like for me, I'm very much let's try to put names and titles aside and just focus on the job, which is sometimes easier said than done. Because like you watch these players growing up, and you kind of aspire to be them or to be in similar situations, and then to step on the same field and to kind of have to like cut that thought pattern off and just play the game. Because I feel like when people get too much in their heads about who they're playing, and what they've meant to them over the years, like of your youth career, you get kind of more caught up in who they are as opposed to what you're supposed to be doing. So for me, it was about kind of being able to turn that off and just to play the game of soccer, because that's what we're all there to do.
Who are some of the soccer players that you look up to in the NWSL?
I mean, I think for me, actually one of the players that inspired me to come back was Veronica Lapsko. Whether or not she knows it, she had a conversation with one of our mutual, buddies from Virginia, and was like, "Oh yeah, Reader can play in the league. Like she could do this." And that's kind of what stemmed this whole train back into the NWSL. So like, I don't think I'm here today unless that conversation between Veronica and my other friend Anna happens, which to me is inspiring in itself, to say that like these two people, one of which is in the league, is the reason, like most of the reason why I came back.
What does it mean to you to represent Angel City FC and to represent the NWSL?
I think being a part of Angel City is very special. I think they're on the forefront of trying to change a lot of the ways that things are done in the NWSL, and trying to give better fan experience, for instance, right? Like, you don't see the amount of fans like throughout the league that you see at Angel City consistently. And I think just setting new standards and showing that women's sports is something to invest in. It's not it's not a pity investment. It's literally something that will give you returns. And it is growing fast. So to be a part of an organization that has helped setting that standard of like I said, for instance, like the fan base, like it's really special. There's a lot of changes that I think that are coming to the league, and I jumped on that train because I wanted to be a part of it as well, and demand better for the girls that are here now and that are coming after us. So I do think it's just like a very special time to be involved within the NWSL and with the team that's also trying to move that bar.
How's that experience like playing with some of your teammates like Vanessa and Julie?
Julie actually never came into camp, but like Vanessa, Kristen Press, Allie Riley, like I think they're all a wealth of information. So for me coming back, like Vanessa was a big staple in my game, because I'm trying to relearn the game at the fastest pace that I've ever seen it at. So having her next to me and being like, hey, I need you to talk to me more, or hey, you need to shift over a little bit better, or I need you within the frame of the goal. So like having her to kind of help direct me and get me through that kind of that struggling point of just getting used to the game again at the speed that it was in. It was extremely helpful. And then obviously you have Kristen Press that has played on every single platform that you can think of. And so like getting direction from her, like, hey, can you play this ball over the top? Or if you can't, can you find this person so that they can find me? It helps you to see the game in a different way, that you might not have been seeing yourself, and they kind of help you recognize situations much earlier. So it's pretty cool to be able to play beside people that have such a wealth of knowledge.
Was that like obviously getting to meet your fans and having them ask for your autographs and photos with you?
I mean, our fans are something special. They're so consistent in the coming out, whether it be a Wednesday night game or Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't matter. They're there basically every single time. I think we averaged over 19,000 fans a game, which is pretty unheard of within the league. So being able to go autograph and to give back to them just a little bit of what they give to us is just a very special experience. They really make our atmosphere so much fun to play in, to be a part of. That it gives us an edge, I think, against a lot of teams that aren't used to that type of playing environment, and to be able to give them just a little bit back is really cool, especially when you see little kids that you can tell you just made their day by signing it or taking a picture. And it's really cool to think that you have some sort of impact on someone else, and maybe they're like, this is the turning moment for them where they're like, yes, I want to go play soccer, and that's it.
How's it like obviously as a soccer player seeing people representing your jersey on the street and even after the games?
Asking for jerseys. Sorry, you cut in and out a little bit. Like
What is
people
it?
wanting it.
What is it like obviously seeing the fans represent you in your jerseys?
Gotcha. It's pretty cool, especially like, obviously my family and friends have them. But like people outside of it, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I think I was on the signing stuff per our last question, and this fan is like, you are the only reason like why my girlfriend likes to watch soccer now. And she's like, she bought your number, your jersey, and like you are the reason she now comes to these games with me and like likes the sport. And so like moments like that are just kind of like, wow, like I never thought I would be able to have that sort of an impact on anyone. So it's really cool to see that kind of response, because there's never something I thought I would get.
What advice would you give those college soccer players that are looking to play in college?
I think exposing yourself to as fast of paced games as possible. So playing with guys, getting used to more physical play, and like just speed of play in general will help set you up greatly for playing in the NWSL. I think something that is often overlooked is fitness. The NWSL is a highly transitional league. Of course, we play soccer, but it's just very fast paced, up and back. So like having great endurance is something that you need as well. So I think just kind of focusing on those kind of things can help to give you a better opportunity to be able to play within the league.
What advice would you give those players that are in college looking to play in the NWSL or even professional soccer?
What would I say to them?
Mhm.
I mean, I think just like put everything you have into it. At the end of the day, you're playing this because it's fun. And the day that you're no longer playing because it's fun and you enjoy it, like it's not worth your body is my 2 cents. So like you have to love it for you, and you have to love the sport genuinely. And when you do those things, it makes playing the game so much more fun, and easier to go to work every day. It's not something that you dread. So that would be kind of that would be my advice, is just genuinely love the game and then go from there. Because there's opportunities here, there's opportunities abroad, and for as long as you love the game, there's an opportunity somewhere for you.
What advice would you give those people such as yourself that is in your rookie year of the NWSL?
That are in their rookie year of the NWSL. I mean, I think basically just put your head down, do the work, embrace your role on the team, whatever it is, and then strive for more. But there's room for so many people within the team to like grow. And so grabbing onto those opportunities to do the extra work and to grow and to get better, and to learn more, I think is what every player should be doing, whether or not you're in your first year, fourth year, 10th year, it doesn't matter.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
We're on social media.
Mhm.
Find me. I mean, I'm on basically just Instagram. I stay off of Twitter for the most part. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. Megan Reid. That's me.
Thank you again, Megan Reid, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Angel City FC.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Megan Reid, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.